wild roving band of questers. Simplicity here for a portal report where we are going to dive into the energies at play. I got some really interesting downloads coming in. You saw the title, Dream Hackers Can't Crack the Code. You've gained access where they're restricted, and it's coming through just like that, right? There's a lot of monitoring energy front and center. It's sort of par for the course with this age of Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius tends to bring this kind of thing front and center, Orwellian type themes, or what some people would call tinfoil hat stuff, conspiracy theory stuff. But it's very real, you know. And today it's very interesting. I had something come up for me. I had Sputnik 1 come up for me, the first artificial satellite that was sent out by at the time, the Soviet Union, okay, but was designed by engineer Sergei Korolev. And you know, it went out there into outer space and transmitted a lot of information for about a 21-day period before it came back and burned up, entering the Earth's atmosphere. But in the meantime, it brought forward a lot of information about the Earth's atmosphere, and that in turn really advanced things on a technological level. In fact, it really was sort of the forerunner for the AI intelligence that we have today, as well as GPS. And so all of these themes are coming very front and center. Also dream state in terms of the energetics of the brain's function. And that it is speculated by researchers that the brain can emit a 10-watt power range of electric current. But then there's also evidence that when the brain is in theta state, it can produce even more wattage than that. And how do you enter theta brain state? Well, of course, you can do that through things like meditation, visualization, you know, working with consciousness expanding techniques, okay, tantric techniques. But you also can through repetition, you know, being on the road, driving all the time, you know, just doing something that's very repetitive that kind of allows the brain to turn off. And it made me think of how many people are sort of unconscious at this time, and how we've almost been programmed to be in this sort of repetitive brain state. And they've been researching this stuff for a while, and I'm sort of tied in this interesting piece of energy harvesting for me, okay? And as I was thinking about that, it made me go way out there. You know, I wandered off into the alfalfa, and I had picked up a lot in the atmosphere recently about, you know, people always talk about ascension, and I think they view it as like some kind of rapture where we're all gonna like get, you know, carted off, you know, in some dramatic way, you know, to some other galaxy far, far away. But I don't think it's about that at all. I actually think it's a state of consciousness that's awakened into. And if you're in a different state of consciousness than those around you, then naturally your experience is going to be different. Your brain's capabilities are going to be different. And we see this already. I mean, who cannot say that some of the yogis who have been able to achieve certain states of consciousness where they could time bend, they could manipulate reality. We see this in shamanism too. And those of you who are familiar with the work of Carlos Castaneda and have read those books about the Yaqui way of knowledge, understand that this is something that many different indigenous peoples have been in touch with for forever, since the dawn of time. And in fact, the Aborigine still communicate telepathically, you know, the ones who are very much still living in the traditional way. Okay, so there's so much about the brain that is not understood. And one thing is very clear: when we're in the dream state, we tend to be more open, more vulnerable. It's when we let down our guard. And it's also when we are able to enter into these altered states of consciousness. So a lot of you have been experiencing a rise in your awareness, and you're already kind of experiencing the shift in reality where it's like you've cracked the code of the algorithm, you've hacked the algorithm. Your brain is no longer able to be programmed by the old modes. I got Mensa came in too, and just the elevation of the IQ. And you know, Mensa very much has its own secret society that is based on those who have the highest IQ. You have to pass a test in order to become part of their organization. They also have a lot of rituals and such that they engage in that are played out very similarly to the Freemasons. So, you know, all of these themes coming in, and so it really does speak to this awareness of when you start to elevate the consciousness, you really do enter an alternate reality. It's like a different level of experience because you gain access to certain information that you didn't have before. And it happens very much on the energetic level. Now, what we got here though is there's a lot of people that have not dipped into this yet. They haven't moved into these altered states of consciousness. And some people achieve this through psychotropic means. You know, they work with things like ayahuasca to enter certain brain states. They work with psilocybin. They work with all kinds of chemical compounds to alter the way their brain functions, but it's absolutely not necessary in order to achieve this kind of consciousness. There's a lot of different ways you can achieve it. You can achieve it through meditation and activating the soma, you know, within the body just through meditation. The yogis know all about this. They've been activating these brain states for a long time now. You can enter this sort of awareness and align with the frequency through sacred geometry. And there's many modes to that. And it's not just working with, you know, pyramid shapes either, you know, square, circular shapes, and the way we can combine these in doing visualizations, meditations are really coming in now. I'll let you all experiment with that on your own. I'm not going to go into the way that I'm personally working with it because the download that I got that came in is very much about people come to things when they're ready for them. And some things that you're downloading right now that you want to share, you know, aren't always wise to share because not everybody is ready to move into that. What can be consciousness expanding for one can be very destabilizing or fragmenting for another. So there's also the need to sort of like move into these areas with that kind of awareness. Grounding is especially important right now. And one thing about pyrite, which is a stone I've been working with a lot lately, is it really helps to ground out the energy from the use of electronics. Now, you know, we all know about how much surveillance is happening through electronics, and surveillance is certainly happening through our smartphones, okay? And there's a lot that's moving forward and will be advancing in the area of AI, okay, as that technology continues to expand. And this is all coming into play. I don't know, I got this piece about, I think we'll also see a lot more study in the area of dream states and how these can be worked with. They do produce, you know, an energy current, and the energy currents they produce are different according to what kind of altered states of consciousness we're able to enter into. If we can enter into a theta brain state, well, then we are automatically transmitting a higher frequency of energy. And what if we're really consciously working with that? And we're visualizing, we're actually visualizing light, we're calling in more light, we're actively in this creative cycle. And there's a lot of people that are doing this work, okay? It's something I initially brought in on the channel last year, last spring, I believe I was talking about, well, if everything is energetic and if our thoughts also hold an electrical charge or frequency, and as Tesla said, everything is all just frequency. And we know that the creative force in the universe right now, there is an imbalance between darkness and light. And that is absolutely true. It's fact, it's scientific fact. All the light that is currently in our universe is like it's long gone. It's like just the remnants of it that are left on the magnetic background that's there, sort of as the backdrop of it. But there's no more creative force of light building in our universe. And in fact, all the light that is still active is way, way, way beyond what we can even see out there at the great attractor, which they don't even know what the great attractor is. It's just this huge light source that all the planets are drifting toward. Everything is moving toward this thing. Some theorize, well, could it be a black hole? It could. I have my own theories. I feel like it's just like, it's like a portal to a different dimension of reality. Why not? Why can't it be? Anything's possible, okay? That's just what my hit is. But here's the piece I got. So, you've been actively doing this work. You've been striving to get to your north node. So you've been challenging yourself to move into a greater sense of detachment. Detachment's not a negative thing. Detachment is when you just simply are at peace with whatever is showing up. You know how to stay in a place of self-mastery no matter what shows up on your path. It's not a lack of compassion. It's not a lack of caring. It's simply that you are responding very much in the present moment. The present moment is when you are able to really work with the energy in play, and spontaneity is where all the magic happens. When we're present, we automatically enter into a more theta type of brain wave state. So we have more energy at our disposal. More light building energy also is the creative force. So we can more actively create and alter our reality. Some of you are no longer programmable anymore. The algorithm doesn't work on you anymore because you cracked the code. You've been working with all kinds of consciousness expanding techniques. And because of this, you're not programmable. You see stuff coming up and you know it's BS right off the bat. You can't even get hooked in. But there's a lot of people that have not done that, okay? They have not done that. And some of those people are already being drained by the algorithm, right? It's draining. It's an energy harvesting of sorts. It's happening on more of a brain numbing kind of level. There's a desire to clamp down on this consciousness, and there's a reason for that, okay? There wouldn't be secret societies like Mensa, okay? Anybody can, take the test to get into Mensa, but if you look at the history of Mensa, it is about creating a secret society of people who have a higher IQ, and there's a reason for that, right? There's a reason for that. Illuminati, Mensa, all of these different organizations, Freemasonry, it's all about people who have become conscious and able to use more of the brain power to affect change. And if there's a certain, this is when you get into sort of like faction kind of energy, because then you're going to have certain people that are going to want to be in control of that script, and they're going to not necessarily be in harmony with others. This is when you get that upper echelon stuff where you are finding that these different secret groups are at odds in their aims. All right. So while this theme of this like dream, hacker energy is coming in on a much larger, more Orwellian level, and you should be mindful of certain things like not necessarily falling asleep with your phone, still by you. And especially if you got it turned on to anything, because you may find that, it's a way to really worm into your consciousness, program your consciousness. What else is all this subliminal stuff, this, hypnotherapy stuff that's all over YouTube too. It is as well. Like, you don't know what's being put in your consciousness just because somebody put something, in a description box doesn't mean that that's what you're getting. You have to be aware of what you're leaving your brain open to as well. So this piece coming in, but I specifically picked up this energy that you have some in your mundane, your puny human mundane life reality. You have some people that, are privy to wanting to tap into your energy. And perhaps at times in the past, you had let your guard down with these individuals and you did have this courting into one another. This is more working with spiritual energetics. We're getting into metaphysics here, okay? And so you already had some people that were used to kind of tapping into your energy. You've disconnected from these people. You experienced a shift of consciousness from these people that you were associating before. You could no longer relate. And it got down to the point where even when you were trying to communicate certain things that had come to your awareness, there was like this total disconnect, this inability for what you were sharing to even register. Because certain people have really tuned out. They just have. Certain people have completely bought into the programming. And so when you've run up against these clashes, you may have found that as you spent time in certain circles around certain people, you felt your energy would get really drained. And that's because their energy is being drained. Their energy is being drained by the programming. Their energy is low, and that makes them hungry. That makes them hungry for tapping into another fuel source. Okay, so you've kind of since have entered into a different state of conscious awareness. And in the process, many of you have pulled your energy back and you've been focused on other things. You've been out of touch with these people for a while. In some cases, you may have even blocked certain people off. Now, all of a sudden, you have people getting in touch with you. You may be noticing that these people are even showing up in your dreams. And that's because whatever you're operating with during your day-to-day awake time, they can't get past it. You're too much in conscious awareness of what's going on with your energy, what's entering your sphere. You're tapped into your intuition, and that kind of presence automatically acts as a certain kind of warding, because the only way something can tap in and drain you is if you form an energetic agreement with it. Once you understand this, then it becomes very clear that all the other stuff is just, it's just superfluous, right? It is. It's just superfluous. All this protection stuff people put up, all of it, it really isn't even necessary. It's not. It makes people feel more comfortable. I think it's helpful when you're in a place where you're really tired, you're run down, you got a lot on your plate and you've been sort of distracted in your energy. That's the key though, distracted, right? If you've been distracted in your energy, if your energy is fragmented for whatever reason, you haven't been getting good sleep, you've been really busy, you got a lot on your plate, you're under high stress, all of this stuff, all right? Well, then, it's very easy to allow yourself to remain open to form a contract like that, because you're not aware of what's going on in your own energy. All right, you're not even aware of what's going on in the moment. At those times, it can help to stop, shield your energy, send down a grounding cord. Why? Because you're calling in consciousness. You have to be present to do that. And just that alone can just sort of act like a seed in the awareness, a seed in the consciousness that, you know, activates this. It's sort of like a place card, okay, for when you're feeling distracted. It can be beneficial, but is it necessary? Absolutely not. All right, absolutely not. And presence is the key. So some of you may have been noticing that you've been sleeping really well recently, you know, okay? There's going to be two camps. Some people are going to notice that they haven't been sleeping very well. Their sleep's been very disturbed, right? Others of you, where you've already kind of shifted into this new state of consciousness, you've been sleeping really good. You've been sleeping really sound. That being said, your lucid dreaming is kicked up, and you can tell when something is trying to poke around in your energy space. And this has been coming through at night a lot. I know that I have picked it up. I know other people have picked it up. I've talked to people who have picked it up. Just people that they've been out of touch with, that they blocked, that they said, okay, I'm pulling away from this energy, are trying to get tapped in, but they're coming through in the evening time. And why? Because your guard is more down, because you're sleeping. But here's the thing. You can't gain access to certain spaces with people, even in dream state. You know, there are people who dream harvest. That's what they do. They like to tap in when you're at your most vulnerable. That's when some practitioners will do their stuff. Okay? It is. You know, those who are adept at the occult arts, that's when they will do a lot of their working. That's when they will do a lot of their astral projection. That's when they'll do a lot of their remote viewing. Okay. They do it at night. They do it at night for a reason. They do it at night because that's when they know that people are more in that state of vulnerability. They're more open. Okay. But those who have entered this new state of consciousness, or what some are referring to ascension, it's not about your body's not getting, you know, carted away to some alternate reality. You're still, your physical body is here in the 3D, but it's your consciousness that's operating with a whole different level of programming. You're actually the developer. That's the difference. 3D is like you're with the programming, you know. When you move into the higher states of consciousness, you become the developer. You program it. You program your reality because you've cracked the code. And that doesn't stop just because you're dreaming. That doesn't just stop because you're sleeping, because you become conscious in your dreams. You're able to see what's happening in your dreams. You actually can get information from your dreams about what's going down in your waking time and what energies are kind of hovering around your space, all of it, while you're asleep. So it's a whole different dimension of consciousness. Right? So if you're not in that space yet, where you've become very adept with lucid dreaming, I think it would be wise at this point that you experiment, especially if you've been waking up and you've been feeling really tired and you've been feeling really run down, or you've had very disturbed sleep. You might want to experiment with doing some shielding before you go to bed at night. And get creative with it. Okay? Get creative with it. You can put yourself into the center of a cloud. All right? A center of a cloud that gives you a certain cloak of imperceptibility. All right? Just to kind of like give you a nice like space. Of course, change it up. All right? Change it up. Always change it up. But there's a reason why I always say to change it up too. It's not just because it's good to continually shift, and especially, you know, if you are running in certain circles where you do know people that work with things like remote viewing or astral projection or consciousness expanding exercises, you know, Never more than anywhere else do you have to worry about so-called spiritual warfare than within spiritual communities. Let's call it out. Let's keep it real. It's not really you know, what's going uh, on the day-to-day level, and in fact, a lot of times it's nothing more than a pissing contest among practitioners. Let's keep it real. But that just shows a certain lack of understanding. It shows a certain lack of adeptness to be even in that space where you kind of have your eyes like monitoring someone else, where you'd be setting off monitoring spirits to really come in through corvids. I got is the download I got. All right, so be aware of that, like ravens, crows, you know. Corvid energy coming in very strongly, but that makes sense to me because it's all about karmic law. When we're looking at corvids, we're looking at spiritual law and the balancing of spiritual energies, which does require that we hold responsibility around the way that we wield power. All right. Now here, you know, like I said, you know, a lot of this has to do with there needs to be a certain level of ego death. No, I'm not talking about ego that is required in order to function within material reality. We all need to have a healthy functioning ego. You don't have an ego, you're going to find yourself unable to sustain any kind of life in 3D reality. You won't be able to function. You won't be able to work. You won't be able to interact with people. Like, that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about losing the ego. All right. Everybody wants to transcend. They want to drop their ego. You need a healthy functioning ego to function in 3D reality. You do. Okay. But it's about dropping this like overinflated pride or the need to be competitive, you know, better off than someone else, contrast, compare consciousness. That's all real lower vibe stuff. But that's what's front and center right now in spiritual communities. It's like a jockeying for power. I'm more spiritual than you. I'm more gifted than you. I'm more psychic than you. And that right there is the kind of stuff that has some people left behind, trying to get into other people's energy, trying to monitor other people's energy because they haven't cracked the code. They're still in the algorithm. The algorithm is totally run by this like ego gratification crap. All right. It's all based on this superficial posturing and, oh, what's going on over the fence over there? You know, that's once you crack the code, you're not in that kind of mindset anymore at all, because you understand there's no separation. It's all just like one huge motherboard. That's it. It's just one huge motherboard. These differentiations, okay, these differentiations of you and you and you over there and me, it's just what we're mocking up in the moment on the highest level, you know. But to function within this framework, we have to keep some of that BS, just so we don't totally crack, you know what I'm saying? Because that's when you'd lose your grounding cord. That's when you'd lose your ability to function. So this is what's going on right now. You got a lot of people keeping eyes on other people because they want to be in this position of what they consider spiritual power. Now, this is also playing out, of course, on the worldwide stage globally, you know. These secret societies are doing this too. Who's top dog? Who has achieved the holy grail, you know? And this energy coming in very strongly too. I mean, people often think of the pyramids, right? But also with the inverted triangle, we're looking at drawing energy down. And when it merges, all right, with that pyramid energy, then we get, you know, this yantra forming. Yantras are, you know, sacred geometry that's about instantaneous manifestation, We're at the beginning here where the higher the consciousness reaches, and the more you can get in the present moment and embrace spontaneous creative brain states and get beyond the programming. All right. And I get this is really like through conscious awareness of expanding that brain power through activities like meditation. You can even get it through training, to be honest with you. Runners are known to experience theta brain states very frequently. All right. It's anything that puts you in the zone. All right. So dancing can put you in the zone. Anything like this can put you in the zone. All right. But it's also going to amplify your ability to manifest. It comes through in the energetics of everything, how you're eating, right? If you're eating a bunch of processed crap, it's also going to affect your consciousness. It's going to make you dull. You're not going to be able to move into that expansion, right? So there's a big need for really tending to the health and the care of the body, viewing the health and the care of the body as being, the body is like, you know, a conduit to run this energy that you're drawing down, you know, and that's what happens as you clear the chakra channels. You start to also download a lot more, right? And you're able to earth that energy, you know, but you want to keep the channel clear. And that's on every level. Mentally, you know, not letting your old BS clog up your mental faculties, all right? Raising the IQ by also being mindful of like, what are you taking in? Do you study? Do you read? Are you learning? When you are watching things, are you watching, you know, educational programming, you know, things that expand your consciousness? Have you looking at life in a new way? Are you just taking in a bunch of like, you know, shorts and, you know, just sort of like meaningless, you know, entertainment, drama? There's a real differentiation happening right now. And it's so important that we stay tuned in and that we don't like get into that place where we have the wrong kind of repetition. You know what I mean? Because you can enter theta brain state by doing something repetitively. In other words, you become programmable. Okay. And that's when you're more apt to experience energy harvesting, or you can move into the place of developer, and you can choose to enter theta brain state by doing things like meditation, breath work, training. Okay. And it was 3311 when I brought that in. It's a master builder for the future. Okay. But there are these kind of pissing contests going on right now. And this is why people are kind of like tapping into the consciousness, trying to tap into your consciousness, coming around curious. What are you up to? What are you up to? You might have been doing some cleansing recently too. You know, you don't have enough spoons to continue to like tend to these hungry people who are needing a little bit of a boost from courting into you. Okay. You may have even done some cleansing, you know, you might have done some spiritual cleansing. You noticed that the energy was feeling heavy, the channels were feeling kind of clogged. You're like, ugh, you know, I feel like kind of like I got stuff in my space. It's not mine. When did I pick up that hitchhiker? Okay. This has a lot to do, again, with just your energy. Maybe you got scattered, maybe you got busy, maybe you weren't focused on, you know, really keeping yourself in the game, being very aware of what was going on in the moment. Drama has a way of doing that. Okay. Maybe you were dealing with dramatic situations. If your energy gets fragmented because you're distracted, you're not going to be able to focus. Not only will you not be able to activate your north node, not only will you not be able to reach for your goals or achieve anything or move forward in any kind of progressive way or move into this expansion in an aware way that's on offer with this age of Aquarius. You'll also find that you're very easily able to be tapped into. You know, you'll take on that load. So some of you did some kind of cleansing, and now you got these people who haven't been around in forever, like, hey, hi, how you doing? Notice this every time you do like a spiritual cleansing bath, or you do anything to clear your energy, smoke cleansing, anything like that. Notice who starts to come around, okay? There's something here, all right? There's something here. You're meant to really move back into this place of your personal power. You need this horsepower to move forward out of the old way and charge into the future. You can't siphon off your power by continuing to feed other people who are loyal to you because they need your energy. These people aren't around unless they need your energy. You notice it when you start to pull your focus away from certain people, where maybe you feel really drained when you're around this person, or maybe you just notice a lot of blockages come on your path when you're interacting with a certain crowd. As you start to pull your energy away from that, watch, your amplitude will go up. You'll notice your energy go up. You start feeling stronger. You start feeling more confident. You start finding progress on your path. And then, oh, here they come. Loyal, dutiful, here I am. Oh, hi. Yeah, I really care about you. And you start to feel drained, and the blockages start to come. So if you've been experiencing that, where you've noticed that there's just certain like clogged channels, you know, and certain people are around, then it's very important that you're keeping the energy clear, you know, by being present with, what is my experience? What is my experience now that this person's come around? How is it feeling? You know, when you do cleansings and all of a sudden you got whole groups of people that haven't been in touch with you for who knows how long reaching out, it's highlighting something for you. It's highlighting who has been tapping in. Now, I want to make this clear. Not everybody is aware that they are doing that. All right. So if you got like a collective of people who are being programmed by the algorithm, and they don't have, you know, their own energy fuel source because, well, you know, it's just sort of supporting the matrix at this point, then you have to be mindful of the fact that they're not intentionally doing it. That doesn't mean that you should continue to like let them feed off of you. We don't need these kind of parasitic vampiric energies. But there's a lot of them that are tapping in, and in particular the vampiric energies, and they're doing it through their occult knowledge that has to do with tapping into the sexual centers, the sacral chakra particularly, okay? Really all the lower chakra channels, you know, Muladhara, Svadhisthana, Manipura, the first, second, third chakras, all right? And there's some that are out there, you know, they're working with that chaos magic. They're working with their sigils, and they're raising their power, you know, and wasting their ojas. Truly, okay, this is the unconscious way to use it. They're wasting the ojas by using their release, okay, to fuel their sigils, to fuel their working. That's what a lot of, you know, these people are doing, these chaos magicians, and they're like little circles raising sexual power so they can do, you know, what they want to do, which is really have power over others. People who work that way usually, you know, just want to have power over others because they're not empowered themselves. That's the problem with those kind of energies. See, actually, when you spill it like that, you're disempowered, because then you become reliant on getting power from something outside of yourself, and you don't need that. Actually, restraining, you know, restraining the release and raising the consciousness actually preserves the ojas, which is the life-giving force. It's the amrita. It's the nectar of life, right? So a lot of you have already tapped into that. You may be finding that there's a lot of people that you come into contact with at this time that are just not interested in the casual hookup. They don't want it. They're starting to be more mindful of their energy and how they connect energetically to others, because you're absolutely connecting energetically when you're you know, connecting with someone. Now there's a difference. Are you wanting to connect with someone? Are you wanting to make love? Or are you wanting to just, you know, are you just down to F, you know? Just DTF, you know? There's a difference in that exchange. And it is an easy way for people to get courted into each other, right? So a lot of people are practicing celibacy too. And they're finding that as they do this, they're getting this wisdom and this elevation in consciousness, and also certain clairs, certain abilities that others are needing to kind of like work with this kind of like lower vibe sort of magic or methods to tapping into others' energy. Okay. This stuff is coming in front and center. And in fact, I get that it's coming in from sources you wouldn't suspect. All right. We've had Madame Rufflebonnet showing up quite a few times in the past. Well, you might not have thought that Madame Rufflebonnet was anything to worry about here. You may have thought Madame Rufflebonnet, oh, that's, you know, that's nobody. That's nobody. Oh no, you know, Madame Rufflebonnet is exactly the one who's working with this big, sexy Satan energy here and making an infinite cosmic mess. You just don't know that she's the one responsible. I am picking up she, okay? I am picking up she. You might think it's a masculine. It's not. It's not. It's a feminine harvesting the energy for a masculine. It's a little bit of doppelganger energy by proxy, actually. I don't want to get too creepy with it here, but it's got those vibes. You know, got those vibes. This is somebody who's been flying underneath the radar. But if you're able to pay attention and you're able to be mindful and enter a lucid dream state, these people are getting called out when you're in your dreams. All right? Because they think that they're sliding in the back doorway, but they're not. You're wide awake, even when you're off in la la land. And so there's this piece that's been coming in for a bit. At first, I didn't know, why does this keep coming in? Why does this keep coming into Dream Journal? Why? You know, at first I thought it was just to get like symbols, you know, that come through the dreams, you know, just help you understand your own psychology. But then I actually realized, no, it's to get a blueprint. It's to get a design. It's to get a design of how to actually move into that place of developer and not the programmed. All right. There's something coming through here about having something by your bedside. Like, I really recommend like a journal. Okay. I'm not talking about working with, you know, putting something in your notes on your phone. All right. Get away from technology. There's something about putting pen to paper. Okay. And just letting yourself write, draw, you know, because sometimes it's not going to come through in words. But, you know, just like that Sputnik piece came in, I feel like there's signals that are going to be coming in at this time. I got this like amplitude of signals coming in at this time. A lot of you, 44:11 on the clock, a lot of you are going to be picking it up at night. You might have been noticing more kind of that like buzzing, high pitch, like ringing in the ears, is because you're tapping into a signal. But if you're not able to enter the right state of conscious awareness, you're going to miss the messages and the downloads that are coming through. So if you take just a moment when you first wake up, even if it's in the middle of the night, let's say you wake up in the middle of the night. Okay, let's say you're having these really broken episodes of sleep. Pull out the notebook, okay, and just jot down whatever comes in your consciousness at that time, or scribble a picture or whatever, because likely there's some bit of information that came through and you just came out of consciousness. You're meant to catch it and write it down. You know, you can look at it in the morning when you wake up. I've been taking a little time every morning when I wake up to just jot down my thoughts, and it's wild what comes through, the information that comes through, because you're still sort of in that halfway place. You haven't like gotten into the flow of your day yet. So if you just like, as soon as you open your eyes, just take a few minutes to write stuff down, just steady stream consciousness. You can even put a time limit on it. I just have a composition book and I write down 1 page full at least. Sometimes I want to go longer. Okay. But I just, whatever wants to come out, even if I think it's gibberish, and I actually don't read it until later. So I don't judge it, critique it. And it's always wild when I look back what came through, right? It'll illuminate things for you. It's been illuminating a lot for me. But there's something here about being mindful if you're experiencing this. If you're wondering who keeps kind of like trying to glom on to my energy. Who is this who's trying to gain access to my energy? It's Madam Rufflebonnet. It's Miss Prim and Proper. It's Miss I'm a good person here, you know? I'm concerned about you. I'm looking out for you. I don't understand. And really, this person has been, you know, the one holding the rope the whole time, trying to get you hung up at the crossroads. All right? They're the ones who are behind this infinite cosmic mess. So these people are going to be marking themselves. This is what came in very strongly for me. These people are about to start marking themselves because a lot of you have been doing this clearing work. You've been detaching, you've been blocking, you've been focused on different things. You're not running around in your usual circles, at your usual haunts, doing what you would normally do. Your entire flow is starting to shift. You've been moving more into expansion. You're starting to be drawn to do different things. You're focused on different projects. Your energy is in a different place. You're traveling toward that north node. You're activating your destiny. And so these people don't have access to you anymore. And where you used to let down your guard, it used to be really easy for people to tap in, and you maybe made a lot of excuses like, oh, I don't know why I'm feeling so funny around so-and-so. Maybe, you know, maybe it's just me. I don't want to make an assumption. 47:47 on a clock. 11:11. Okay. There's starting to be like the lights are going off, like you're forming the connections. You're like, wait a minute. Okay. So you're going to be more sensitive. You're going to be more sensitive when certain people come around, and you're being advised to, you know, keep your focus. You got to pay attention to the energy. Ooh, yes, because time's up. Oh my gosh, time's up on this effing guy here. I'm telling you, you got some effing guy here that is trying to just force their way into your energy because they don't have access anymore. And you need to be mindful of this. Big Saturn energy, like time's up on this. There's being restrictions are being put in place. Like people had an opportunity to kind of get out of those old karmic cycles. They're looking for an assist. They're looking for a rescue. These are people who are still swimming, bobbing around in the cauldron of Dagda. And you know, we brought this in. Like you'd have to go for another round in the karmic loop if you weren't ready to get beyond it. It's like time's up. They're trying to get through on the phone. They're getting a busy signal, you know. It's like you can't even use that kind of phone anymore. That's not how, you know, you get through anymore. It's more like ET phone home. Yep. You know, it's true. There's not access at this time. There just isn't, you know. This needs to be dealt with. And we're not going to get pulled into this. We're not going to get pulled into cleaning up this infinite cosmic mess. We pulled away from that for a reason, right? Because we wanted to stay focused. And so there's some people that are still back here, you know, they're still back in this state of consciousness, and they're about to go for another round. And then there's others of you that, you know, you decided to free yourself from that. You took the lessons of Saturn. You took the lessons of Saturn and Capricorn. You said, I'm pulling myself up by the bootstraps. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm letting go of what I need to let go of. I'm willing to branch out. I'm willing to do something new. Okay. I'm willing to let go. I'm willing to lose my attachments. And because of that, you're just on a different timeline. You're on a different track. And you're now in process of connecting with other soulmates who are also on that track. And so there's a real distinction, all right? And you will notice that people who have not done that want to try to pull your energy back. They want to pull your energy back so you can clean up this mess, but you can't do that. You can't do that. It's too late. You couldn't even do that if you wanted to. It's too late. You already hopped the timeline, okay? You already hopped the timeline, cut of the deck energy. Yep, they're trying to piggyback. They're trying to use the ruse to piggyback and find a way in with the heron bearer here, but it just doesn't work like that. You're going to have to knock this energy out of your force field with the baseball goat. Ooh, Ted's all, ooh, you are. Because you're about to knock it out of the park. You're about to go for that shot, you know, that shot at your destiny. You got to stay on track. You got to stay focused. There's no way to go back anyway, even if you wanted to. So we're going to bring in a little angel guidance here. Do 2 clarification cards. We're going to do one from the Angel Tarot, and then we're going to do one from the Occult Tarot, just to get a little bit of guidance for what we need to do moving forward from this point, because obviously we can't let this energy feed off us, and we can't get roped in to all this old drama, because that's going to hold us up, man. I'm not hanging out in the South Node. I don't know about you, so you got to choose what you're going to do. But I'm telling you right now, there's people that can't escape this. They opted for the karmic loop. So they got to like swim around in that gross cup of the cauldron of Dagda that, you know, is really getting kind of murky there for a while, you know. At some point, you had to get to the other side of that. And if you chose to stay behind, it's like there's no way to kind of like, you know, pull people back into that fray. It's they've already let it go. They've already released that. They've already synced up with the new energy. So the angels here, we got the Empress. That's right. You know, Libra South Node energy. No, we're not staying in that South Node. We're rising up into the North Node of Destiny. We're manifesting as the Empress. Fertility and fruitfulness assures peace between married couples. We're coming into that place of union. We are imbibing the knowledge of that tree of life, all right? We are moving into the position of alchemy. You know, we transmuted that energy that was in that gross cup, okay? And we're not going to go back into that place. It's like, it's not our load. It's not our karmic load. It's not for us to take on at this time, all right? I love the Empress energy coming in there. Let's see what we got going on here. I do feel that there's still this need to continue, you know, to continue with the cleansing is important, all right? Just stay really on top of the cleansing just for an added boost at this time. I think it's good to be mindful, especially those of you who are finding that you're having disturbed sleep or you're having trouble sleeping. Like, you should be sleeping soundly, all right? It shouldn't be stressful. If you're finding that you're having really disturbed sleep or unsettling dreams or anything like that, or you're feeling really anxious, I really encourage you to just up your cleansing at this time and maybe get your hands on pyrite to sort of deal with the transmutation of some of those electronics, okay? Because the electronics are having an effect on your energy too. You know, stop sleeping with your phone by your head, you know, at night. Give yourself like some space from that and notice how things shift when you start to balance out the energy a bit by grounding it more, you know, connecting with nature more. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. Right? You know, you can always get to the other side of it, but those who got left behind because they chose to continue to sort of like stay in the drama pool. You can't pull those who chose to swim to the other side back in your direction. They're already on the voyage, you know, to the North Node. Like they can't turn back now, you know, there's no way. And if you want to, you know, head on that voyage yourself, you can, but you're gonna have to find your own way. Because nobody can do it for you, you know, you got to do the work. You got to close those old karmic cycles. And all the spiritualists are like, can we please, with all the jockeying for position, I'm the chosen one, I'm this, I'm that. I'm sorry, as soon as I hear chosen one, I'm like, oh no. Like, that's the kind of ego I'm talking about. Please, please, please. It's not a popularity contest. This is not high school. It's so bizarro to me, okay? So that's exactly the kind of energy that needs to be transmuted right now. It's so important. Until we really freaking get this, that we're all in it together, is like, you know, there's a lot of work to be done. But we're just at the beginning of this age of Aquarius. We got 20 years to get it right. If all goes well, you know, let's hope we can at least stay focused on the end goal. I mean, I think it's possible with the Three of Cups. We do have the opportunity to heal here, but I love the bear medicine coming in. It's like, yes, pineal gland stimulation. Decalcify your pineal gland, man. The only way to do that is kind of like, you know, look for other sources of dental care, like fluoride is not your friend for the pineal gland. Make sure you're eating good, healthy diet. You know, meditation is stimulating for the pineal gland. Sun gazing is beneficial for the pineal gland. Listening to certain hertz frequencies is good for the pineal gland. So look at this. Decalcify your pineal gland. And if that sounds really woo-woo to you, it's not. Research it, and you'll find lots of information about ways to reverse decalcification. And when you do, you'll go, wow, I have so much more access to higher states of consciousness. And it says here, reconciles friends, tells of the past, present, and future, gives dignities and honors. So you see, you know, we each have the opportunity to remember who we are and what we're here to do and come together in connectivity and mutual empowerment as a community where no one has to be left behind. But you have to be willing to step up into the responsibility of managing your own consciousness, because you're in your own little vehicle here. You're in your own earth suit. Like, I don't get to jump into your space and tell you how to step into a higher state of awareness, just like you can't to me. And there has to be that death. Look at this. Lucifer, okay, death. Provides liberation and illumination and incites jealousy and envy. And I'm telling you, this is the biggest problem right now. All this talk about all this spiritual warfare and, you know, energy harvesting and people throwing magic around. At the end of the day, this is the lie. There wouldn't even be a need for jealousy, envy, any of this. Chosen ones, karmics, if people weren't in the distortion of the ego, which is the devil, that says there's only me, and not understanding that the truth is it's we at all times, whether you like it or not. That is the truth. And there's something to sit with.